All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Machine Success. Today is episode 4. We have a very special guest with us, Drew Crowe, who is often referred to as the leader of the new American manufacturing renaissance. Andrew has been hailed as Reed Richards meets Nipsey Hussle. He's one of the leading minds and movers on the front lines in the critical battle of closing the workforce and skills gap in manufacturing. In addition, he's one of the leading influencers responsible for growing awareness of the industry among our youth and at the forefront of training the next generation of skilled manufacturing leaders. He's doing the work to build the bridge between manufacturing, the youth, and our communities through collaborative efforts, organic reach, and partnerships. Mr. Fantastic himself, Drew Crowe, thank you so much for being here today.
Man, it's an honor to be here. I really thank you guys for, sharing your platform with me and inviting me on. This is a great show that you guys got here, and, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Drew, from the very beginning, Clint and I started to run through like our wish list of who we could speak with, and you were on the top of the list. So thank you so much for being here. As you are very well aware, we have a huge issue in the US right now, an expected skills gap, a shortcoming of 2.1 million unfilled manufacturing jobs by 2030. And that's not that far away. One of the biggest challenges that we face as a country is the total lack of diversity in a largely white male-dominated industry. What do you think are the barriers to entry for underserved populations, and how can we start to break those down?
Well, I think that there are three major things that we've got to look at. That's access, that's awareness, and that's representation. So as far as these underserved communities, which, typically are, centered in our cities that are, Black, brown, and women pockets and populations, we've been looked over a lot. And, if there are people from those populations that do find our industry, most of the time it's not intentional. And once they get into the industry, the culture isn't really one that is really accepting, right? So it's hard to retain people. So we work on those three things: the access, the awareness, and the representation. We can do a better job at not only recruiting, but retaining people from the populations that, we haven't been serving well, and that are, the growing people that are adding into the future workforce exponentially. By awareness, we need to make sure that these pockets in these inner cities or these school districts are seeing what manufacturing is. We need to really work on rebranding our industry, or as technology in our industry meets and takes off, we need to do a better job at showing people what it looks like, right? And giving people an updated idea of the jobs that are in this industry, the different sectors that are industry, and then how they can play a part in all of these things. Access is important because, even if you do have an idea of the industry, you've got to be able to feel like you can be there. So whether that means being able to go on tours and see manufacturing plants, or going to your school or a local maker space where they have new technology, where they have fifth axis houses maybe, or they have Mastercam that they can program and tinker around on, or they may have access to classes through the community or digitally. This way they can see that there's skills that they have that would easily translate into the skills that we need in our industry for the future. And then lastly, representation. Representation is very, very important, especially for our industry, because like you stated before, we're white male dominated. But the people that we need in the industry look like, you and I. They look like women. They look like Black people. They look like, brown people, Asians, all the whole spectrum, right? So if we're not including people that want to see themselves in manufacturing or can see themselves in manufacturing, they won't want to be there. And they won't think that, these great careers that we have waiting for them are actually for them, right? So I think if we, just really these next couple of years get really intentional on, the images that we're putting out of our own companies or our industry, the people that run the conferences, be very, very intentional on who you have on your stages, right? we get really caught up in hot topics in our industry, I feel like. And right now, diversity in manufacturing and attracting the youth are some of the major things that are on our industry's top topic list, and rightfully so, because it's one of our, major pain points right now. But when you look at a lot of the panels, you've got people that are giving advice on the youth that are never around the youth, and they're giving advice on how to attract and hire the youth, but they haven't hired or got a job for a member of that community in who knows how long. But
Right.
these are the people that are on the panels, right? And I think that we have to do a better job at saying, hey, this is a hot topic, but is this the person that is actually should be giving us the advice on this, right? And once we start being more intentional about the people that are, showing us how to make the change or giving us as an industry the advice on how to make the change, let's start enacting the change, right? So our industry, I feel like, does another injustice to ourselves and to the communities that we should be serving by, being really data heavy and being really, social media heavy, where we can say we have a hiring crisis. We need a lot more people. We need to diversify. The numbers say it. We need to, strengthen our education in manufacturing, but then nobody's actually out there doing it. We're just, making statuses. So we've got to be more boots on the ground as well.
Yeah, man, I love your perspective on that. And, I think that covers the industry really well. And, something I don't know if a lot of people know about you, Andrew, is that you are an educator yourself at Rankin Technical College. So you teach young folks, how to get into this industry. And so I would love your perspective from the education side. Tony and I, we go around to all these different educational events, and we hear the same thing every single time, is that they cannot get students in the seats. We have a big recruitment problem across the country. And I think, in my opinion, one of the biggest issues is that lack of diversity within these machining programs and schools as well. So
Right.
from an education perspective, like what do you believe are some things that tech schools and machining programs can do to increase the diversity within their student population?
So great question. Number one, you've got to increase your diversity within your department first, right?
Mm.
So if I'm a young girl or I'm a young minority student and I come in and my class looks nothing like me, but then also there's nobody who looks like me trying to teach me this and speaking my language, understanding, my experiences and my background, it's going to be a harder, it's going to be a bigger obstacle for you to overcome to really get into the industry, right? So I think that, schools have to do a better job in their own hiring practices. Number one. Number two, if you can't get representation in your department, do your best to bring representation in as much as possible. So whether that means, having me come in and speak to your class, or just showing the different people and the different faces that are in the manufacturing sector. I think people like Megan Ziemba of Mavens of Manufacturing does a really great job highlighting all of the great women that we have from top to bottom in our industry. So if you're a school that can't necessarily find a female instructor, lean on the resources that the industry already has. Tap on a Megan and say, hey, maybe you can come do a presentation or do a panel or something like that, so that our population can feel like they can come here and see some of these things. And when we put the work in now, it's like any technology that came in early. There's a big expense in the beginning. When we went from regular machining to CNC machining, it costs a lot, right? But the ROI over the years has been exponential. I sold live tooling for a long time, and that was another thing. Hey, they're really expensive, but your machine really opens up and you can take more jobs and all of those different things. Same with fifth axis right now and some of the tech that people are a little bit slow to adopt. This is the same thing. You might have to, pay more than what you're willing to, what you usually or have been paying to attract people that are in the industry that have the knowledge to come teach, right? And you might have to, find different ways to incentivize the people that you need. But then after that, because they will be bringing in people from the community, 5 to 10 years, you'll have more of a pool to choose from of this diversity, right? Another thing, though, I think that, tech schools have it hard. It's tough to work within a budget of a tech school or
Yes.
a private school like I worked at and be able to do marketing, to do outreach, to pay, the instructors what they deserve to be paid. And more importantly, to keep up with technology and have a program that can serve the industry in a good way. So I think that it's on the industry as well to say, hey, let's help support the education system, because we are the gateway to the workers that will be eventually in their plants, right? So, if you want to diversify, help the tech schools recruit the people that you eventually want to see in your field. And if that means, taking some of your marketing budget or taking some funds that you've had set aside and maybe donating that to the school, or helping the school free up funds by way of, hey, we've got a fifth axis machine. I know you guys are in the market for one. Maybe we can donate that or give that to you because we don't have enough workers right now to run it, right? And that way you're training people up. You got a good eye, you look good in the community, and you're helping them free up funds to be able to go get the people that you don't have the time and the resources to go do yourself. So I think that, educators, we're standing in the middle, and there is a lot that is on our shoulders that we need to do. But, if we have the support of the industry, we'll be more empowered to be able to do it.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I have to say, the work that you're doing is so powerful, because I remember when I started in the industry 17 years ago, you have to have thick skin. And that is not a mentality that works. We need to shift that whole conversation. We were just talking about this over Easter and with everybody together is, oh, you need to have thicker skin. No, I don't. We need to have people that are more perceptive of the world that we're living in and more accepting of the people around them. And I think it's so important that we do start to shift the conversation. And if you have a strong female, or if you have, even just a female who's finding her way through your organization, or somebody that looks different than others in your company, share that asset with your local tech schools and let them use that person to speak and attract more people into the industry as well. And, I've heard some people say, well, you shouldn't have to see somebody that looks like you to want to explore a career. But you do. You need to know that somebody's been there before. So you're doing so much work with bringing awareness to careers in manufacturing. You've been such a huge advocate for our industry. And I know that you're hitting the road this summer, and we're pretty excited about the 2022 American Manufacturing Renaissance Tour. Tell us a little bit about what that's going to be like this summer.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a 2-day, 18-city tour where we get into, these cities and we start the conversations, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on online, and I love it. And it's really, encouraging people to look at our industry. But if you're not a person that's on LinkedIn or that follows some of the people in our industry, you'll never see any of these things, right? And so I'm taking all of that energy and I'm taking it offline, and I'm going to these cities and I'm making sure that the people in the cities are aware of the opportunities that are around them. The manufacturers in the cities are aware of the programs that are local to them and can see real ways on how to support them. And then I'm bringing everybody together, and then I'm making them have the conversations that we need to have by, facilitating and mediating those things, right? And thank God to some great companies like Mastercam, and they're getting behind me. They're getting behind the message. And they know that this is something that needs to happen. So on day one, we're hitting these cities and we're talking to, STEM centers in the community. We're talking to middle schools and high schools. We're talking to youth offender programs. We're talking to battered women's shelters and single mother shelters. And we're showing them different representations of themselves in manufacturing. We're showing different video presentations of, women in manufacturing, of, Black and brown people in manufacturing, and the array of jobs that are available to them. Then on the second day, we're really going to be in these cities celebrating the manufacturing sectors that are there. So we'll be having manufacturing mixers, inviting the local manufacturing community out to learn a little bit about retention-based leadership, to learn about local organizations like, fatherhood support groups and Urban League, and different people that work on helping upskill and train these members of society that need a little bit of a boost, and show you how to use those programs to find the best workers that you can find in your area. So it's really exciting to be able to, get into these cities and put our great industry on the Summer Jam screen, so to speak, and do it in a real cool way. And then also, we'll be broadcasting this thing to an audience that manufacturing hasn't really been able to get in with. So we're working with Culture Genesis and All Deaf Digital to bring this thing to the masses and really show manufacturing in a way that it hasn't been seen before. So very grateful to companies, like I said, like Mastercam, Factory Fix, Edge Factor, the Culture Locker, that Modern Machine Shop, that are behind this message and really helpful of making the network bigger and getting the word out there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's exciting, man. So it's definitely not lost on our government, this issue we have with the skills gap, right? So, and I know you've had some conversations with government leaders, and now you're involved in something that Mastercam and Haas are both very familiar with. So the Department of Defense, they certainly recognize the critical nature of this skills gap, and they have invested in and developed an advanced manufacturing competition that's for students, both secondary and post-secondary, and they call this Project MFG. So, like I said, we've been involved since the beginning. Haas has been involved since the pilot competitions, and I'm so happy to see now that they've gotten Andrew involved as well too. So tell us about what you're doing with Project MFG. What's your role? And then how do you think this is going to continue, to bring career awareness to manufacturing?
Man, so Project MFG is amazing. I want to definitely shout out the Department of Defense for having, the foresight of saying, hey, we need to really get behind content and get this thing out there and really show this industry, and knowing that it's critical at this point. We can't just keep talking about it. We've got to do something about it. So thank you to Adele and Jesse Salazar. They invited me to actually address the Department of Defense and the Pentagon on industrial policy the day after Russia invaded Ukraine. So it's a real moment, really great opportunity for myself. Unfortunately, the circumstances that, surrounding it are tough, but we're going to push through. And from there, I was invited to come and join the cast of Project MFG. And Project MFG is showcasing our industry in a way that we've never seen it before. And then also incentivizing the people that join into the contest to the tune of $100,000. Now, that does several different things, right? Number one, we're putting an eye on our industry in a way that people want to see it. So people love game shows. People love Facebook, YouTube, and different channels, and they really love to gamify different things. And we've seen that, especially with this generation, when you gamify things, it's easier to learn and it's easier to pick up. So we've got manufacturing, an integrated manufacturing contest where tech schools, high schools, and technology centers are entering the teams, and they are competing for $100,000 and the chance to say that they are the best in the nation, right? And I implore machinists, manufacturing professionals, programmers, engineers, if you're from one of these schools, get behind them, promote it, shout these kids out, because like I said before, the awareness problem isn't going to fix itself. And now we've got somebody investing the time and, more importantly, the money into making something look really good and really showcase our industry in a great way. And more importantly, these kids need it, right? So the future of our industry, they want to be welcome. They want to feel like, hey, I do come from a great pipeline of tech schools with great machinists, right? And now we can brag on it and we can talk about it. Or, if you're a machining company, if you're a manufacturer, you want to keep your eyes on what the kids want and this is a real-time opportunity. They're giving great interviews. They're talking about, what they want to do in the future, the type of companies that they want to work for. We always talk about not having the talent, needing to, branch out and get more people. And here it is. So I'd say, the best thing that you can do, whether you're the smallest machine shop to the largest, is support this show like no other. Like all the other shows on TV that we support. We support all the dating shows, the bachelors and all that stuff. So let's support the industry. Let's find somebody on this show that we can align with and really ride with them all the way to that $100,000. Because the more support that we have, the more people will get into it. And I'd also say that there are some rumors going around that we might be bringing this thing to big businesses as well. So if you feel like your company is one of the best manufacturers in the United States, if you feel like, you're the best machinist and you're the best setup guy, if you got that nice competitive nature, we're going to give you an opportunity to really prove it and come to the table on a national stage and show what you're made of. And, I can't think of a better way for students to really showcase their abilities to all of these great companies. I can't think of a better way for companies to showcase what they do to these students. The tech schools that are hosting these competitions, the tech schools that are bringing students to this competition are really showing how great their programs are. So there's students that are all around the world, maybe in high school, that are thinking about going to tech school for the next step, that are thinking about becoming a CNC programmer, and they're watching and they're like, hey, which one of these schools am I going to choose to go to take my next, career step? Because I see, which programs are the best real time. So it's amazing, man. It's amazing to be a part of it. It's amazing that, we're doing it and that we're doing it in a really great way. It looks really, really cool. And it's only going to continue to get bigger. So, as the show grows, as the industry continues to lift us up and support us, and as people continue to, apply and try to get on the show, the word is going to keep on spreading. And I believe that, we're going to continue to grow this thing like wildfire. So I'm really excited to be a part of it. And I hope that, I'll see the people that are watching this on the show. I do want to shout out, if I can, one of the schools. I know that Ed Doherty is really active in the groups that this will be airing on. And without giving away too much, he runs a great program. He's got people that really highlight the whole diversity thing that we're talking about. He's got a 16-year-old programmer that, can't drive a $40,000 car, but he can drive a $250,000 machine beautifully, right? And then he's got, several people. One of the gentlemen's 42 that are here later in life picking up these skills. And the way that the team meshes and works together is exactly what manufacturing needs. We need the older people working with the younger people and them teaching each other and giving, those gems that both of them have, and having that platform and saying, hey, you're just as important as I am. And we're going to, I'm going to listen to you and you're allowed to speak and we're going to build together. Right. So, we don't just need to diversify our industry and, in race or sex or gender, but also age. Right. So we need to have great examples and great instructors like that are able to build those bridges and have that cross communication going on. And, they were really, really amazing, to see that. So, man, shout out to Ed.
Ed runs an awesome program, Suncoast Technical College in Florida, and I've worked with him for a long time, and he is a trailblazer. He's the one who's like, we should try that. We could do that. So He's a great guy, and he's one of many of the H-Tech educators that are out there, getting their students traveling all over the country right now competing. So I'm sure Ed will appreciate that shout out.
Yes, and I'll say this too, one more, and I'll get off of Ed, but this is also a testament to you guys as well, right? Because he has an H-Tech center, and they run Mastercam, right? And they didn't have a fifth axis machine to be able to practice on, to make the fifth axis part to get into this program. And because the technology is where it is today, they were able to write their programs and use a high simulator to get as close as they could. And then they ran it on a fourth axis, right? A fifth axis part on a 3+1. But because the training is how it is today, because the videos are as comprehensive as they are, because the support tools are the way that they are, they were able to show up and run a fifth axis machine for the first time in this competition, and they did amazing. So again, definitely hats off to Ed, definitely hats off to our educators, but hats off to Haas, hats off to Mastercam and the education department, you guys that are making it easier for the instructors to say, we might not have, but we can figure out, and we can still do in light of, our budget restrictions or whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's awesome, Andrew. And thanks for the shout out. And those guys are all doing such a wonderful job. All the schools, all the teachers, everybody. They're really doing a great job. So that kind of wraps up our main questions, but we wanted to hit you with a little bit of rapid fire. So we'll kind of buzz through these questions. Tony, you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Drew, if you could spend a day in anybody else's shoes, who would it be?
Oh man, I would probably spend a day in LeBron James shoes.
Go Ohio!
I'm only 5'9" on a good day. So good, to be up there, and more importantly, I really love what he does outside of basketball. He has an academy back home in his hometown where they are doing some amazing things, man. And my biggest dream is to, in my hometown of St. Louis, where we have a lot of issues surrounding, the youth, I would love to open the equivalent, an academy just like that students can get a really high level education that is leaning on manufacturing for sure, and get all these great skills. So I love to see how he did it. Day to day, and take a walk in, some shoes that are a lot bigger than mine.
We'll tag LeBron and see if we can get some feeds on this. Akron Public Schools are 45 minutes south of me, and I sit on their advisory committee. So let's see if we can get some global coverage by tagging LeBron James in this clip.
Let's go, and let's see if we can hook up their tech department. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'll just text him. Don't worry, I'll text him after this. So sticking with the sports theme, then I know you have kids that are involved in sports, if I'm not mistaken. So what's your best sport to watch live?
So my youngest son, my 5-year-old, really is a huge fan of hockey. Ever since he was born. Yeah. So he was born in Tampa, and then we moved back to St. Louis. So he's a huge Tampa Lightning fan. I'm a homeboy, so I'm sticking with the Blues. So me and my 5-year-old have been bumping heads lately. But man, I'm a sports fanatic. My oldest son is a football player and a track star. So we obviously, love football around here. I'm a Bulls fan, so we're in the playoffs right now. Hopefully DeRozan can turn it around for us, but I love basketball. And if there's a sport on, let me watch it. That's a day of peace for me. And then obviously, I am from the home of the best team in baseball, the best to ever do it. So, if there's a Cardinals game on, nothing else is going on around me.
We'll cut it off after the first one because I'm a hockey mom to a 12-year-old. So we'll just go with hockey as the best sport.
Just leave it at
hockey. All right, Drew, when you were young and you were dreaming of what you wanted to be when you grew up, what was a career that you wanted to have when you were a kid?
Wow. So, man, that's one of the major things and major reasons why I do what I do now is because I never thought past 18. I really didn't. And I didn't really think that I could be anything because I was told that I wouldn't be anything for so long, and I didn't see people around me that were anything positive. And I never really had a lot of options. So I didn't really think of things like that. And I know that that's not normal. So because of that, it's one of the reasons that I really got on the road and made sure that, anytime I have a platform, I want people that feel like they don't have any options or they aren't good at anything in life or can't be anything in life to look at me and say, hey, at least there's manufacturing. So, the older I get, the more I'm becoming who I feel like as a kid I always could be. Like I said, manufacturing has taken me so far. I went from sweeping up a shop and cutting raw metal to running the machines, to programming them, to hiring people from my community and training them how to do the same, to becoming an instructor at one of the greatest schools in the Midwest, and a speaker and addressing the White House. It's like, I'm already far beyond what I would have imagined as a kid. So I'm just going to keep my childlike energy and my childlike mind and the endless possibilities that come, just keep on knocking them down.
And that's an awesome message. I do have to throw in a machinist question for you, just because we're both machinists. So, yeah. Is it dial calipers or digital calipers?
Oh man, depends who makes them.
Oh, good answer.
So I'll take some old school dial up stairs or Minotaurios for sure. But if you're nice with that thumb pressure, both of them will work. But I'm still kind of old school, man. I rather read in between those lines for sure.
I'm right there with you.
I love it. And then our last question before we wrap up, and thank you so much for your energy and just what you're doing for our industry. We so appreciate it. What's the best piece of career advice anybody ever gave you?
The best piece of career advice that I ever got was that I belong here. And when you are somebody that kind of looks like an outsider of the industry that you're in, even if you have the skills, even if you are, doing all of the great things, you still kind of in the back of your mind is like, should I be, am I welcome? Am I supposed to be here? Mm-hmm. And, when I got that validation from people in the industry that said, hey, you're killing it. You're supposed to be here. You're welcome here. We love you here. I think that's where I really was able to flourish and, just really do me. And I felt like, doing me was honored and valued and respected. So I will say, if you're doing something that you love, if you're doing something that you have a passion for, if you're doing something, and this is outside of money, this is outside of, material things, if you're waking up every day and you feel whole, you belong there, whatever that is. So if you're looking at this and you feel like, hey, I love 3D printing, I love programming, I love machining, I love all of these things, come on, you belong here. No matter what your background looks like, no matter what your past looks like, no matter what your skin looks like, no matter who you sleep with at night, no matter where you lie politically, you belong here. Come on.
Yeah, that's great. So that's a great way to end it. Drew, again, thank you so much. One last thing, can you tell people where to find you at?
Yeah, so you guys can find me at the-mfg.com. My site should be launching within the next week or so. You can find me on Instagram _the_MFG. And you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/thecncmfg. And I've got, a bunch of dope videos on there. We've got some awesome behind the scenes and recaps of Project MFG. You can get a lot of value from some of my community speeches and some of my retention-based leadership stuff that you can find on there. And, if anything else, you can find a couple labs and stuff. So check me out. And I also, come and speak. So if you see me coming to your city, I don't charge anything. So please come on down, get some of this value. if you've got someone in your life that, might not know anything about machining, but just feels like they're stuck and feel like, they need to do something in their life, bring them out. I have been known to change a few minds here and there. And, I love to do it. So come see me, hit me up, and, we can work some things out. And I love to have you guys. So check me out, and it keeps me going.
The future of manufacturing starts here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me today.
Thank you so much, Drew.
All right. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate you.